This week on Inside the Headset, we are featuring Campbell University Quarterbacks Coach Adam Morris. Coach Morris discusses the recently founded Coaches Coalition Group, shares what recruiting looks like at the FCS level, and highlights the importance of the AFCA 35 under 35 program. Now, let's get inside the headset with Coach Morris.
Coach Morris, what's going on, my friend?
Good to see you, Coach Price. Appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, super excited about it, man. I had the opportunity to meet you here recently, and look forward to our growing relationship. You're on an awesome staff with a bunch of great coaches. Most people see that's not Coach Adam Morris's name in the bottom corner there. You got Braxton Harris running around, so a lot of 35 under 35 power on that Campbell staff. So super excited about having you on. Let's go ahead and dive in. Now, one of the cool things I think that you're involved in is a coalition of coaches, and I don't think many people know about that. I know it's a relatively new organization with a really, really strong mission, and I just would love for you to kind of share about what it is and kind of where it's at. I know it's, like I said, in a very mature stage, but you could talk a little bit about it.
Sure. Yeah, the Coaches Coalition for Progress started up about a year ago. It was last summer. I got involved with it. It was actually mostly a group of college basketball coaches. Carlin Hartman is a guy who's from Buffalo, New York, that I had some personal connections with at the time. He was coaching at University of Oklahoma, an assistant basketball coach. He's now out at UNLV. And I kind of connected with him and started talking with him a little bit about just how can we make a difference in the community? You know, how can we help impact the lives of young, maybe underprivileged children or kids that just need some help, you know? And so this group of basketball coaches started the program, and I joined up a year ago. And, I think they're just trying to build something over the course of the long term that can make a difference in the community. Whether it's fundraising money for after school activities, helping generate youth sports programs, just trying to provide leadership and guidance and opportunity for the next generation, that's coming up, and just trying to really, everyone, especially last summer, I think a lot of people were bringing to light some of the racial issues that exist in this country. But what this coalition was about was actually doing something more than just talking about it, trying to put into action something that's actually going to change the life of somebody. So when I was able to connect with Coach Hartman out there at Oklahoma and talk with him a little bit about it, I said, yeah, this is something I want to do, try to go make the difference in someone's lives and someone's life. And, if it was getting involved back in local communities in Buffalo or something like that, those are things that we're looking to do together. And I'm really happy to be a member of it.
Coach, well, we appreciate you, man. Obviously as a coach, you get that opportunity to impact so many that walk through those offices and the facilities there, wherever you're coaching at. But those guys, they need it. Absolutely, the people that walk through those buildings. But at the same time, oftentimes there are people out there outside of those facilities that need it a lot more. And in this profession, man, we're just so busy. It's always the next thing, whether it's recruiting, whether it's game planning, whatever it is, camps in the summer. Just take a little bit of your own personal time, which is far and few between, and dedicate a little bit of that to, somebody that might be less fortunate and, needs that extra push, man. That's awesome. So we appreciate you, man. Now, you mentioned Buffalo a couple times. You're New York guy up in the Buffalo area. You had a very interesting start to this profession. One of your first jobs was actually with the Buffalo Bills. It was a unique job because you were a little bit more focused on training camp operations, coaching football operations, a little bit more off the field, but still around that coaching atmosphere. How did you, first and foremost, land this job, and what did you learn from it, that you're still applying to this day?
Yeah, I believe it or not, I started out in the Bills ticket office. I was a 19-year-old kid. I was a summer intern after my freshman year of college. Working in the ticket office as an intern, and kind of stuck around. Like each summer, I would come back home, during our summer break, and I would work in the ticket office. At the time, the Bills organization was somewhat unique. I think it was kind of a close-knit, intimate organization in the sense that people in the marketing and ticket office had a chance to meet and mingle people on the football operations side of things. So just kind of being around there for a few years, I started to network a little bit and get to know guys that were involved in the personnel department, scouting department. So when I finished up college, my first job outside of tickets with them was interning at training camp in the scouting department. And it was grunt work. I mean, it was, stocking refrigerators with follow the water. It was taking out trash sometimes. It was helping the equipment managers set up stuff for practice. I mean, you name it. It was, but what it also did do along the way was it opened small little doors and gave us access to the coaching staff, to the VP of player personnel, guys that were the decision makers in the organization. And I just kind of took that opportunity and ran with it. Was able to build a relationship with some of the offensive coaches on that staff. And then being from Buffalo, when, I just kind of hung around as long as I could, really. I tried to be a fly on the wall, absorb as much information and knowledge as I could, and ended up getting the chance to stick around for another year and a half after that initial training camp internship. I kind of split my time 50-50 with personnel and scouting department and then with the coaching staff. So I would, again, do some grunt work projects like, driving guys to and from the airport and shuttling people around, but also started to get the opportunity to sit in on some pre-draft preparation meetings, sit in position coaches meetings, their game plan, and help them with film study and breakdown. And it just kind of gave me a crash course on football. And it also at that level taught me, some of the other things that go on in the National Football League, which was eye-opening at the time. I was a 22-year-old kid, and kind of got a live and in color look at just some of the politics that go on behind the scenes. Right. When you're dealing in the NFL, you're dealing with a lot of different problems and different situations maybe than you are in college football. Personnel departments and scouting departments and how they mesh with coaching staffs. And then you've got obviously, the money tied into contracts for players and coaches, and there's a lot of moving pieces. But it exposed me to a lot, and at the end of the day, it kind of was my foot in this profession. It gave me my first break in football, so to speak. And I just tried to take it and run with it. And, there was, you name it, I did it, I guess, for quite a while. But it was a really good experience.
Good, man. That's awesome. That, one of the beauties of the podcast, I've said this before on this podcast, you just talk to guys and, it's just a little unique business in terms of how everybody ultimately ends up in the seat that they're sitting in at the moment of the interview. And, I can't imagine being that young and just been exposed to the business side of the real life business side of NFL organization. Had the opportunity to talk to a few NFL coaches on the podcast here, and it's just so much different in college. College is a business too. You got to win. You got to take care of kids. You have to make sure they're graduating. But you truly get to love them, and they're there because they want to be there most of the time. In the NFL, obviously, there's just so many other moving pieces. Some guys get drafted, and I'm from Miami, Florida. I'm not trying to be in Buffalo in this cold weather, and they're just unhappy and disgruntled the whole time. So it's always interesting. Now, after that stop at Buffalo, you've had the opportunity to make multiple stops, different levels, bounced around. Really had a good time with Turner Gillett in multiple spots, Ithaca, Buffalo, Kansas, and Liberty. So you were able to gain a lot of on the field coaching experience and grow in that facet. Now you land around 2012, 2013. You land at Campbell, and you've been there for 9 years, which is today's coaching, just the volatility. The lack of stability, being able to stay at one place and kind of hunker down and just really get good and not change too much. But you've been able to have kind of some personal growth as you came in as a receiver coach, you transitioned to QB coach, pass game coordinator. And so in a sense, although you're not bouncing around, you had a ton of growth and transitions just amongst those walls there in Campbell. Just talk a little bit about the difference of the growth whenever you're bouncing around at different spots, even if it's with the same coach. You got to go learn new coaches, et cetera. But just, being at one place and just growing day by day and getting better day by day and, watching the job title change and hopefully salary change a little bit, just that transition.
Yeah. Yeah, those were some years I really look back fondly of my time with Turner Gill. Coach Gill he was great to me, and I was with him at, like you said, at 3 different schools. And what was interesting about it, I guess, was getting to see it at 3 different levels. We went from the University of Buffalo, which is, in the MAC, and it's a group of 5 school, and he really did an incredible job making that into a respectable program.
Yeah.
You go from group of 5 up to the Big 12, working at Kansas, and then from Kansas to Liberty, which at the time was FCS, playing in the Big South. So I really got a crash course education on all the different variations and levels of Division I football. And within that time frame, in a span of 3 years, I was quality control on special teams, then on the defense side of the ball, and then on the offensive side of the ball. So it was rapid fire, back to back to back, of learning new scheme, new sides of the ball, new approaches to football. But I think it gave me maybe a little bit of a holistic view on the game.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to say I've coached all 3 sides and been around it. Coach Gill it probably sounds cliche. You hear a lot of coaches say, well, that guy's a really good guy. But Coach Gill is maybe one of the best guys. I mean, you won't find a better person in this profession. College football, I'm happy for him that he's retired and he's enjoying retirement, I'm sure. But the game was better when he was coaching it. There's no question about that. He's one of the all-time best people you'll ever be around. And I think just working for him for the years that I did, I learned organization from him. I learned how important it is to, respect and trust people that are on your staff. He had our backs as assistant coaches, 100%. He was fiercely loyal to people that were loyal to him. And he genuinely cared about his players and about the guys that worked for him day in and day out. And those are values that hopefully I'll carry with me forever. It was just a great experience. So yeah, I left Coach Gill after the 2011 season and came to Campbell in 2012. This was my first on the field full-time job. I was a quality control coach with him at those previous 3 spots. So when I came here with Coach Minner as the wide receivers coach, that was my first chance to really run my own room. And, that until you finally have a chance to do it, there's no substitute for that experience, and I tell young coaches a lot, there's guys out there that sometimes spend years and years working as an off-the-field assistant, whether it's a QC or a GA or a analyst, or, there's all these positions out there nowadays. And those are great opportunities. You learn a lot, and it's a great experience. But at the end of the day, until you're thrown into the fire as a position coach, and it's now your name on the product, it's your job to get the players to go out and perform. And it's your job to handle them off the field and academically and all that type of stuff. Like I said, there's just no substitute for really having that experience. So yeah, I've been at Campbell for 9 years now, which is hard to believe. I guess it's going into our 9th fall.
Right.
That's a lifetime and a half in this profession. But in a lot of ways, it's kind of felt like a new job. We came in 2012. Campbell was in the Pioneer Football League. It was a non-scholarship Division I school. When you're non-scholarship D1, in a lot of ways, you're probably not really D1. You're not recruiting under a D1 model. And after 4 or 5 years of that, we transitioned into the Big South, and now we're fully funded, fully operating Division I FCS program. So everything about the job changed at that point. It was before the 2018 season is when we started playing a Big South schedule, and we started signing full scholarship players. And so, yeah, the logo on my shirt and the school colors haven't changed necessarily, but it does feel like it was a new job. Yeah. And it was a new set of challenges, which was really great. I didn't have to pack up and move around the country the way a lot of coaches are forced to do in this profession. But it's given me over the last 10 years, I've had a chance to work Group of 5, Power 5, non-scholarship Division I, scholarship Division I. I've kind of seen the run of all of it, and it's been a great experience.
Absolutely. I had the experience which play against you, not knowing at the time. Been at Davidson College, and that recruiting model of being a FCS non-scholarship was you hit the nail on the head. It was so different when you walked into the school, because you did have the ability to kind of sell that Division I look, but ultimately you didn't have the opportunity to sell the money. So you're recruiting a different type of kid, and you know, and a lot of schools in that PFL had some vigorous academic requirements that allow for them to recruit a little bit more like a Division III program than it was truly like an FCS. And so, you know, what was that transition like? I mean, because I can, although I have recruited the two different you know, ways of recruited FBS scholarship, FCS scholarship, FCS non-scholarship, and I recognize their difference. But like you said, I had a different logo on the hat. You know, I walked in, it was that way the whole time.
Right.
So kind of what changed for you guys? Like, what was kind of the you know, game plan the first time you were able to go out and have a little money in your pocket in regards to scholarships for the student athletes?
Yeah, I think we wanted it to change overnight. And the reality of it is, it took a little bit of time because you get what you pay for, so to speak, right? So you're all of a sudden now paying full athletic scholarships. So in your head, you're thinking you're recruiting a significantly higher caliber athlete, which we were. But I do think it took a little bit of time just to maybe educate some high school coaches on, hey, this is a new Campbell. You know, the kids that we were recruiting maybe 2 or 3 years ago, you know, those aren't guys that we would want to recruit now on a full athletic scholarship, you know, so that took a little bit of time. You know, I think, you know, there was at the year that we transitioned, I think that was the 9th year that Campbell University had a football program. So you've got 9 years worth of non-scholarship sales pitches that coaches have made to high school coaches and players. And now you're all of a sudden trying to change the dynamic and change the message that you're spreading, you know, so it did take some time. But this is a beautiful university. We've got nice facilities, and it's kind of a hidden gem. You know, it's located a little bit in the middle of nowhere. Once you know, it's about 45 minutes outside the Raleigh area, and it kind of pops up out of nowhere. The campus does, but once you're here, and I think recruits and high school coaches have been able to see the investment the university has made on our facilities, and we've got a great game day atmosphere, and I think people's eyes started to open over time. You know, and we balanced high school recruiting with also then trying to bring in some junior college or some, at the time, FBS drop downs. You know, this was pre-transfer portal and everything, so the transfer world was a little different then than it is now. You know, but you know, we tried to supplement some older guys, and this roster it's still a young, growing roster. I mean, really, this upcoming fall will be the first full scholarship class that we signed 4 years ago. They're just now becoming either redshirt juniors or seniors. So, you know, we were the only older scholarship guys we had on the team the last few years have been transfers. Everything else has been young guys that we recruited and we're trying to groom and develop and, you know, get them ready to go. So, you know, it took some time, but yeah, it was an interesting transition. There's no doubt about it. And I think one thing that we really tried to focus on was, you know, you try to recruit your home state and you try to do it as effectively as you can. But we also kind of branched out a little bit now that we're a full scholarship program and able to market that. We've had a lot of success down in Florida and Georgia. You know, those two states have been good for us. We've signed a ton of kids over the years that are really good players for us now. So we've maybe branched a little bit further as opposed to when you're non-scholarship Pioneer League and recruiting guys that can come in and pay tuition and you know, supplement academic scholarships with whatever they can afford. It's just a different model for sure.
Yeah. Different is a great word because they all come, you know, regardless of what you're recruiting, it comes with its challenges, just different challenges. Yeah. Now you were selected for the 2021 35 under 35 class. Obviously, we weren't able to get together this previous year, but we will get together at this upcoming convention in San Antonio. Why was it important for you to not only apply, and what was that kind of honor to carry? You know, been able to be a part of that class, especially as you look on your staff there, and you got a couple guys that have been a part of it.
Huge honor. It really was. It was my last year of applying. I'll be 35 this summer, so I applied last year and thought, you know, why not? I mean, this is, if you got a chance to network with other young, growing, successful coaches, at the end of the day, that's probably 90% of this industry is networking and building relationships with people that someday down the road, you know, you never know how those those relationships will pay off. But I also think that, you try to have I think as a young coach, I try to have a growth mindset. There's it's a mentality you have to have of, hey, I don't know it all. I got to go out and continue to keep learning and challenging my mind and taking stuff from other guys. And, how do you do this? How do you do that? And maybe you learn 2 or 3 new things that can make you a better coach. So I try to get involved with that type of stuff as much as I can. And, whether it's going out to visit other staffs and clinic with them one-on-one or do a program like 35 under 35. It was disappointing that COVID kind of threw a wrench in the convention this past year. But I'm excited to get down there this upcoming January to San Antonio and just meet these guys and spend a few days with them. I think it'll be I'm sure a great learning experience. I'll be able to hopefully pull stuff, both X's and O's, but then also, leadership and just coaching philosophies and things that will help make me a better coach. And I'm sure build relationships with guys that will last a lifetime.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about, man. And, you kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of why you apply for this and why you want to kind of have that growth mindset. And I'm always impressed when people say that. And, you're definitely not the first coach that's hopped on and said that. But I think what makes it a little bit more unique with you saying that is you're 9 years in a spot where you've had, some vertical movement. And how easy is it to get complacent, and I'm not going to go mess with that. I'm doing good, and I just that's awesome. I mean, you probably don't have that vertical movement without having that mentality just to continue to have that growth mindset to get better and make sure you're providing the best version of yourself to your student athletes that are, sitting in your rooms with you every day. And so we definitely appreciate that. And I thought it was really cool. We were kind of joking around before the podcast started about me and you've been in the NFL NCAA Coaches Academy down in Florida in 2016 together. Yeah. Unique. It was awesome. Once again, a great opportunity to come and grow. The networking is not the biggest part of that deal. So unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to connect there. But once again, just seeking those opportunities and, not just talking about it, literally going and being about it. So, Coach, before I let you go here, I want to give you the opportunity to share your social media, your Twitter account. I know guys might have some questions for you. I'm going to tell you guys right now. I won't spoil it by. I won't spoil it by telling you exactly what it was, but your submission, man, for 35 under 35, I will say I watched 3 or 4 times. I'm a guy that hops on a whiteboard and draws plays whenever I got 2 seconds. I got a notebooks where I'm just always drawing stuff up, and I was like, man, this is awesome. Why weren't we doing this at this place, man? This could go right into this imaginary offense I'm putting together. So I can attest. Great offensive mind. I would encourage anybody that is on offense, likes throwing the ball around a little bit, to reach out and talk some X's and O's with this guy. And I look forward to doing that down the road too, learn a little bit more about that submission you put in. But anyways, share your Twitter account, man, and if anybody has questions, wants to connect and keep up with your journey, they can do so.
For sure. I appreciate those kind words, Coach. And on Twitter, it's at CU Coach Morris. CU is in Campbell University, Coach Morris. And anytime that's the best part of this profession probably is the personal relationships that you build with guys over time. And that's talking X's and O's, talking quarterback play, you name it. I've really enjoyed those conversations with friends and mentors over the years, and I'm happy to do it. So if anyone ever wants to reach out and get in touch, please do. Don't hesitate. I know we got a couple weeks left here before all of our lives turn upside down and
right.
Report date for camp creeps around the corner here. But, whether it's later this summer or, at some point over the bye week or something like that, we've got a few more minutes to catch our breath. I'd love to do it.
Cool, Coach. Well, we'll make sure to link your Twitter account in the show notes so they can easily find you. Thanks again for the time. I know, like you said, season's approaching fast and furiously. Look forward to watching you guys play and continue to grow in that SoCon and make your impact. And once again, can't wait to meet you, although we've been in the same room a couple times. Can't wait to meet you face-to-face, shake hands with you at the next convention, man.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Coach. Looking forward to it.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Inside the Headset. If you heard anything on this episode that you would like to learn more information about, head over to AFCApodcast.com, where you can find every episode and all of the corresponding show notes. While you're there, take a second to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for the show, please let us know by sending an email to podcast@afca.com. Make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter @InsideTheHeadset and tag it when you share each episode. You can stay up to date with all things AFCA by following the @WeAreAFCA Twitter account. Every episode of Inside the Headset can also be found on your favorite audio streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. If you are not currently a member of the AFCA, be sure to find us online at afca.com and apply to join over 10,000 NFL, college, and high school coaches from around the country who are striving to be the best they can be. With an AFCA membership, you gain invaluable access to the annual AFCA convention, the bi-monthly magazine, and the new and improved digital library, which contains thousands of videos and articles contributed by hundreds of current and former football coaches. You can also visit afcainsider.com to sign up for our free weekly email newsletter on the right-hand side of the screen. It comes out every Tuesday at lunch and is filled with great articles and stories written by many of the same coaches you hear on the podcast. It's geared to help you become a better coach tomorrow than you are today. Be sure to connect with me on Twitter @CoachMarioPrice, and remember, the AFCA is not just an annual convention. It is an association that continually promotes education, guidance, and networking. But it is also so much more than that. The AFCA is about celebrating the past and educating the future. It is about developing great coaches who will produce great teams and even better people. So invest in your skill set and impact today by engaging with the AFCA.